There are two ways to run your sales, and right now, one of them is costing you deals every week without you even seeing it. In this video, I will break down multi-channel versus omni-channel to show you when to use each one and help you to pick up the right approach for your business today so you can stop wasting money and start closing more. So let me show you what I mean. I was working with a B2B company that had 5 sales channels running for an entire year, and then they closed almost nothing. After that, we changed just one thing about how those channels work together. And 5 weeks later, they booked over 100 qualified meetings without adding a single new channel. We just reorganized what was already there. When sales is not working, your first instinct is always to do more, to add more channels, to do more outreach, add more platforms. I used to think the same way, but the problem is not the volume, it's the structure. Are your channels actually working all together, or each one of them works separately without having no idea what the other channels are doing? Because that's exactly why your prospects feel like they are hearing from 5 different companies instead of just one. I've been there. Most founders never consciously choose which approach they are running. They just kept adding channels and hoped something would work. But once you see the difference between those setups, you will never look at your pipeline the same way. So do you know right now if your channels are working together or just running side by side? So drop it in the comments, yes or no. Okay, let me break down what multi-channel actually is, because almost everyone gets this wrong. Multi-channel means you are reaching people in more than one way. You send emails, you send on LinkedIn, you call them, maybe you run some ads as well. All of them are fine, but none of those channels know what the others are doing. Your emails have no clue what's happening on LinkedIn, and your rep making calls on Thursday doesn't know if someone already opened your email on Monday. Now think about what that feels like for the prospect. They get an email on Monday, a totally unrelated LinkedIn message on Tuesday, and a phone call on Wednesday from someone who doesn't mention either one. What happened before? Feels like 3 different companies reaching out at the same time. If you're just starting out, multi-channel is actually the right move. It's fast to set up, maybe 2 or 4 weeks. It's very affordable and lets you figure out which channels your audience actually responds to. In the early stage, this is exactly where you should be. But if you stay here for too long, it starts working against you. Your team cannot see what a prospect already experienced, so every conversation starts from zero. Every rep is guessing, and your close rate quietly drops without you understanding why. That's the ceiling of multi-channel, and it's lower than most people think, which brings us to the approach that changes everything. And this is where it gets really interesting. This is the omni-channel approach. Now, most people think that it means being on different platforms. That's not that actually. Omni-channel means your channels are connected with each other and they share the information. It means that when your rep picks up the phone, they already know this person opened your email and they replied on LinkedIn yesterday, so they can give some context about it. Everything flows into one place, and every next step is based on what already happened. Think of this like this. You walk into the shop and you buy something, and later on, after 6 months, when you come back, people already know about you a lot of things that they say, you remember back then you bought this and that, I think this can be a good fit for you. That's what omni-channel does for your prospect. They never repeat themselves. They never get messages that ignore that they already told you. And every time they hear from your company, it feels like one person is managing the whole relationship. That's what builds trust faster than any pitch ever could. Now, omni-channel takes 6 to 12 weeks to build, and you need a real CRM, different tools that are working together like sequences, and the team that actually follows the process. It actually costs more and it can break fast because it can get really messy. But once it's running, it compounds every month because every conversation builds on the last one, and every touch point makes the next one more and more powerful. So multi-channel can never do that, no matter how many channels you have. And by the way, if the content like this is useful for you, subscribe to my channel, because I put out videos like this every week that will completely change how you think about your sales process. Okay, so now you get both approaches, but let me show you what happens when you 2 companies selling the same product for the same buyer go head to head with different setups. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Company 1 runs multi-channel. Their reps send cold email on Monday, while marketing blasts ads to the same audience with the zero coordination. So the prospect gets an email and a generic ad saying two different things on the same day. Wednesday, the rep calls but has no idea what prospect opened the email, so they start completely from scratch. By the end of the month, someone from the team bumps into the prospect at an event without knowing they were already contacted 4 times by them. So the prospect walks away thinking this company is a mess. Now company 2 runs Omnichannel. On Monday, the sales rep sends an email and it's logged on to the CRM immediately. And the ad team already knows who is in a live sales conversation, so those people get excluded from generic campaigns, which means they go to the retargeting campaigns. Wednesday, the rep sees the email was opened twice and sends a LinkedIn message on the same topic, and when the prospect replies, it all gets tracked. So by Friday, when the rep calls, they know the full history of conversations and they can use it like a context to make the call warmer. So when someone from the team meets this prospect at an event, they already know a lot what happened in the past because they checked their CRM. They know every touch point, every concern, every piece of content this person engaged with. So one company is guessing, the other one is compounding. The same channels, completely different result. So which one should you use? This is where most founders get really mess and they lose a lot of money on the table. What I keep seeing is the founder, when they discover Omnichannel, they get excited and immediately build that big connected system. They spend weeks on it and they invest thousands of dollars for integrations, and the system actually doesn't work because they are not at that level yet. But it's not because the system is bad, but because they connect the channels they never validated. They don't know which channel works best for them. They actually assume that emails might work well. They assume that LinkedIn can bring some leads. They assume that ads can work well, but never actually tested any of it because it's not validated. So if you build the omnichannel system and you didn't validate the entire system, which channels are working well, it will not fix your sales. It just shows you your problems faster and change you more for you. It will just show you where you mess up and these problems will compound. So here's what actually works, and this is the part where it will save you months. You need to start with multi-channel. Test your channels, run email, LinkedIn, run some content and see which is working better, where people actually respond faster and they are more active, where you find your audiences. And then you get to the point where you are booking at least 10 meetings a month consistently. Then you take top 2 or 3 channels, the ones that are already working, and connect them. You build the omni-channel around what is already proven. Because multi-channel hits the ceiling the moment your prospects start getting disconnected messages. And that feels that different people from different companies reach out to them. But omni-channel without a test and foundation is just an expensive way to automate something that never worked in the first place. So you need to test first, connect second, and that's the sequence. I also put together a full training setting this system up step by step, so if you want a pipeline that books qualified meetings every week, check the link in the description. Now before you go, I want you to think about it. If a prospect saw LinkedIn, then they got cold email from your team, then met someone from your company at an event, would those 3 experiences feel like one company or 3 strangers who never spoke to each other? If the answer is strangers, that's okay. Now you know where you stand and what you need to fix. What you understand now is something most founders never figure out. It's not about how many channels you own, it's about whether those channels operate as one unit or just sit separately and sending separate messages. You are not just someone sending outreach anymore, you understand what real sales process is a good fit for you for what stage. But connecting your channel is only half of the question. The other half is that what actually say when those channels are connected, because the wrong message inside a connected system does the more damage, no sales at all. It's really important to understand multi-channel is actually for those companies who are just starting out. And if you have like different channels, let's say one channel is ad, one is referral, one is content, doesn't matter what, you can run all at the same time, especially in the beginning, just to prove. And the later stage is actually having them like a omni-channel system. So this is the main difference of multi-channel and omni-channel presence, and you need to understand what system is good for you. So if you are more advanced and you validated some systems, already you know which channels are working well, you just need to connect them all together. And in the beginning, it's better to have multi-channel because you want to test, you want to see what's working, what's not. So with that being said, you need to now understand your stage where you are and which channel is better for you.